Hi, it's Sean, the Fluency Awesomeizer. Got another video here where we're going to work on our ability to decode multi-syllabic words, to read big words. And I've got two rounds for you today. We're going to compare two different pairs of words. Here's the first round. Okay, I'm about to show you a word. Read this word right out loud for anybody there to hear. What is this word? All right, you think you got it? What's this word? Now, the top word is civilians. The bottom word is villains. And they're very similar, right? And there's a chance actually that you may have thought or even read villains when pronouncing civilians. If you read both of these words, that's great. I want you to keep watching. This is a spelling lesson for you. But let's compare them and see why you may have said villains when reading civilians. First of all, if you're in a rush and you're reading civilians, there's a VL and an ending NS in both of these words. And your brain might pick up those letters and fill in the blanks. But there's a big difference. There's a vowel pair IA towards the end of civilians. And we'll look at where that comes from in a moment. But in villains, those letters are reversed. It's an AI. That's the big difference. Now, let's explore where these words come from. The origin of the word civilians is civil. Civil is a word that goes way back to the ancient language Latin. Right? We use it in English, and civil has to do with being an ordinary citizen. Right? If you've heard of the Civil War, that they called it the Civil War. It's kind of a name for the People's War, just the Citizens' War. Now, civil is used in a couple of languages. This is a French word, civilian. Civilian. That's where we get civilian from. The French use the suffix IEN, and from that we get civilian. We use IAN. So that's an important suffix to know, not only to help you read, but to remember and recall when you're spelling. A lot of words end with IAN. Now, civilian is a person, so it's a noun, and we're going to add an S to make the plural noun civilians. Now, the root word of villains is another Latin word, villa. And you might be familiar with villa from Spanish, villa, villa. And it's also used in French. It's the word ville in French. And you're really familiar with this from the names of towns and cities like Nashville or Jacksonville, for example. Those are two big cities in America. But in wherever you live, if you look around, or maybe even live in a town that ends with ville. I know I grew up in a place called Clarksville. And so long ago when they were naming towns, one way to name a town would be to take a family name. The Nash is a family. The Nash is, that was a family. So they named Nashville after someone with the last name Nash, who was actually a Civil War hero. And Jacksonville was the last name of a president, Andrew Jackson. And I grew up in Clarksville. There was a Clark family, or Clarks. And so they named it Clarksville, because Ville means town, or villa means farm long ago. So to get the word villain, the French use villain, they use an EIN, and in English we use AIN. So villain literally means the bad person in town, right? And it's another noun, so we're going to use an S and make it a plural noun. A quick look at the syllables. In red is the stressed syllable. Civilians, civilians. It's a 3-syllable word. You hear that Y in civilian. So again, you want to remember this IAN suffix. Villains is only a 2-syllable word. And notice I took the A out because you hear villains, villains. So you're going to need to recall it's AIN. Hopefully you will from what I just explained. We're going to set these two words aside, and I want you to hit pause, because here's a phrase with some extra practice. Hit pause, give yourself plenty of time to read this carefully, and I've got another round for you coming up. Hit pause. All right, let's do the second round. Here's another word. Read this right out loud. What's this word? Okay, the top word is reliable. The bottom word is relabel. You may have thought or even said relabel when you went to read reliable. And there's a reason why that may have happened. If you read both of these words, that's great. Again, keep watching. This is a spelling lesson for you now. Well, let's compare why you may have said, let's compare these words and discover why you may have said relabel. If you're reading the word reliable quickly, and anytime it shows up in text, your brain might just pick up the prefix re, l, b, l. So that's why it's easy to read relabel. But there is an I in the top word. So it's not relabel, it's reliable. There's an extra syllable there. And let's look at where that I comes from. The root word of reliable is rely, to rely on someone, to depend on someone. It's a verb. And so you can add suffixes to words like rely, certainly verbs. And we're going to use the suffix able, which means we're going to have the word that literally means you're able to rely. But to do that, we have to drop that Y and add an I. That's where the I comes from, right? Now, the Y, that's an easy letter to see, but that I becomes really skinny and it's easy to overlook when you add a suffix and becomes lost in the middle of all these words. So take a good look at that I, reliable. It now is an adjective. The root word of relabel is label. It's a noun. We have labels on all sorts of things. But it's also a verb. To put a label on something is to label it. And to do it again, we use the prefix re, which means again, or over and over. Relabel. That's where relabel comes from. Here's a quick look at the syllables, and we're going to wrap it up for today, okay? Reliable is a 4-syllable word. The stress is on lie, reliable. And down below, the stress is on lay, relayable. That syllable is an open syllable, L-A. That's why that A is a long sound. If it was short, it would have 2 B's, but relabel. And we are going to wrap things up here today. Ignore that part. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post videos like this every school day. And I have lots of reading exercises at my Facebook page. If you just go to my photos, you'll find over 200 reading exercises to practice with while I make more videos. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time here on